Hey there, YouTubers, CJ Brooks in 1996 here today, and I've got a video for you. This is on the DRZ 400 SM. This is like a should you buy video. So let's get started. First off, I didn't buy this new, obviously. Well, not obviously, I guess, because some people do. This is I don't know if I said it, 2017 DRZ SM 400 SM. And I bought it used in January of this year. It is now July, and nearing the end of July. It's like the 20-something. And so that's what? Like 6 months, half a year. In that time, I've put about, well, actually, I can tell you. I bought it with 2,100 and like 40 miles, and it's got 6,800. So that's real quick maths. That's 4,700 miles on it. Which is a bit, a lot faster than my NX250 that, if you guys look back on my channel, I had. Well, I still have it. I actually sold it to my father, which is good because I still get to see it. It's a freaking clean bike, and I bought that for $1,200, and I was like, well, just to get into motorcycles and like on road. I've done off-road my whole life, basically. And just to get in and see if I liked it on the road. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to get a beater bike because I didn't really want to take that NX in the woods and beat on it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get a beater bike. And then I started looking at, well, you know how that turned out. Started looking at DRZs. They were about $3,000-ish for like a 2005, 3,000 to 3,500. And they were about 100 miles away from me. Nobody was really selling them around me. And then there was this one, which was a 2017, right 40 minutes away from my house for 48. So I was like, okay, do I buy a beater that I'm going to have to pour a bunch of money into for $3,500 and have to drive 6 hours or whatever, 3 hours? Or do I just buy a really, really nice clean bike for another $1,800? It has a bunch of add-ons already on it, and it's way closer. So I was like, okay, I'll just do that. Because I know I spent a lot of time on my bike, my other bike last season. So this season's no different so far, obviously. So rundown, it had street tires on it. It came with this exhaust, this nice Yoshi exhaust. I love it. It came with the pegs. It came with the brake lever. It came with a clutch or a gear selector. Came with these integrated turn signal bark busters. It came with this cover here. What else did it come with? It came with the chain guide. I put the chain guard on. Came with that chain guard and the shifter. And the only thing actually I like it because it looks way better, is he cut the plastics. So, it also came with levers, these folding levers, which he has an extra pair. Here, he gave me an extra pair and the stock pair. So he also gave me all the stock parts, stock exhaust, stock everything. So this guy was like stock fender. I've got like 2 fenders for it, extra of that, and another rear one. So this guy, he also put a different chain of sprockets on it. So it's set up for wheelies, and you can see he dumped it. If you look behind this guy's head is a dent. That's why I put the sticker there. And that's the only thing that happened. And he crushed this mount. This is a new one, obviously, but the other one was like folded down. If you look at my video when I first got the bike, it has that. So the things I've done to it, I have got a concept seat, which was amazing. It was like $300, but it's worth it. Got a Richie Elstrom bracket for the headlight, and then bought a headlight off of eBay. I did case savers. I laser marked them here at the shop. I got tires because I actually got a flat while I was riding, which was no fun. And I put on this nice rack here, this billet CNC aluminum rack, which I have a video on. And I did a tail tighty because he broke his other one. He had like the strip, the LED strip that would go there, and he did a wheelie and broke it. So I also had to move the battery because he put the battery in the bag, but I wanted the rack there, so I had to build a rack to put the battery up under there in a Pelican case, which I also have a video on that. I just did new bars also. The bar was a little tweaked, but you could barely notice it. I just wanted higher rise and rake for the rake back, just because it was more comfortable while I'm sitting or standing. And I did a moto dash. Oh, and the biggest pain in the ass of my life, these Unibiker radiator guards. It's set up pretty well how I want it. I might want to do some other mirrors, but that's in the future. Anyway, this whole like 5-minute tirade is just getting you up to speed. And now is it worth it? And if you have a 250 or a street bike, I didn't want a street bike because you're going to be humping the tank the whole time. And that's just not what it doesn't look comfortable to me. I had my 250 and that was really comfortable. And I didn't want a bike like a Harley because it's only street. You can only do street. So I wanted to be able to ride places and then use the bike. So I got a bike that's too big. No, this is like a little too big for me, height-wise. And I ordered a lowering link for the rear, and then I'm just going to slide the front forks up a little bit. And because I don't do crazy off-roading anymore, I just do like power lines or dirt roads. So it should run fine, like ride fine. People are saying, oh, it runs horrible on the dirt. And they're probably doing like jumps and shit. So I'm going to do a video on install and then a video on it working. But I'm like that on the ground. So hopefully it's an inch and inch and a half, I think, is the lowering link. So it should be perfect to flat foot, which is way more controllable. Oh, I also did a peg delete, which is, anyway, yeah. So the question is, do you buy a DRZ? And what one to buy? So right now the market is literally retardedly crazy. So I wouldn't buy a 20-year-old bike like a 2000 for $5,000. Even if it has a bunch of shit done to it, it's probably been beat for 20 years. These do have long oil change intervals. It's like 3,000 miles or 3,500 miles is what Suzuki recommends, which is crazy. But so a lot of people will do that, or they'll do 1,000 miles or whatever. There's like no in between. But the chances are the older the bike is, the more owners it's had, and not everyone takes care of it the same. So this was a 200 bike, and the guy bought it used from a dealership that I go to. Not obviously I don't go to it, but like if I need this one Suzuki thing and they have it, I'll go there because they're like 10 minutes away from the shop. So he came back across the river to buy this bike when he bought it not new, but used. I think it was like a year or two old. But you want something like this. You want a guy that buys a bike, pours a bunch of money into it, dumps it, breaks his arm. So he broke his arm, and he had a scar that went from like right under his elbow to his wrist, and it looked like Frankenstein, where it was just like a red line with dots on each side. And he has a plate or a rod in there, or 2 rods. He said the bone came out of the skin. So, and he dumped the bike into his neighbor's yard. So that's why the bike wasn't messed up too bad, if anything. Really, there's just like some scratches, some superficial stuff, and that little tiny dent, which I was fine with. And he told me all this up front. He was a nice guy. So buying it was easy too. He still had a loan on it, and I bought it for $4,800 with all those parts. I could probably make like a decent bit back if I sold some of the parts. And I went to the bank, paid off his loan. They gave me a lien release, and then I got the title. And the funniest thing was, me and my buddy Dan, who's like he's really into bikes and quads and then 3-wheelers. And motorcycles. He got me into motorcycles, but I asked him to come with me to look at the bike because I've never, paid this much for a bike before. And he was like, man, this is a stupid good deal for what it is and how much he put into it and how clean it is. Like, even look at the frame. Like, there's no scratches from, like, your leg rubbing on it. I mean, there's dirt on it for me, but when I got it, it literally looked like brand new. It was crazy. And, like, the engine, just, like, nothing's really old or, besides me getting it dirty, it was really clean. Like, the frame and everything. I see pictures on the forum of these guys' bikes that are from early 2000s, and they're, like, all rusted as shit. Like the motorcycles I rode when I was a kid. And it was, just splurge on something that I like to do. So, anyway, we go over there, test ride it. My buddy rides it, and then I ride it. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take it. We go to the bank, do all the paperwork, pay it off. And when we get outside, he signs the title on the tailgate of his truck, my truck. And it starts snowing right as that. And I looked at the forecast before it went, and it said it was going to snow, like, when we were there checking it. So it was just, like, it turned out perfectly. And we came back across the river in, like, a freaking blizzard. You couldn't see anything. But it was worth the trip because that was on Marketplace for, like, 6 hours before I bought it. And it would have definitely gotten snatched by some, kid that wants to do wheelies all day and live at 12 o'clock. But anyway, do you want a DRZ? The thing has so far for me has been bulletproof. It does like to eat a little bit of oil at like 65 because like I go to Danbury, Connecticut a lot on 55 and 22. So you're just sitting there throttle at 65 for 30 minutes and it'll eat a little bit of oil. So just check it regularly. But other than that, it's been pretty bulletproof. It sounds nice, starts up whenever I want it to. It doesn't start as nice cold than my NX. The NX would just like, you tap it and it would turn on. This, you gotta, choke on and all that bullshit. But it definitely, it starts and it runs. It doesn't turn off till I hit the off button, and it doesn't, do anything strange. So other than that, it's a good running bike, good looking bike. I got a lot more comments on how nice this bike looks from everybody I drive by. I'm at a gas station. Sweet bike, man. It's a dual wheelie, blah, blah, blah. You got to turn a lot of heads if you have a nice bike like this. Whereas before with my NX, I would get comments on my helmet all the time. So I definitely noticed that was the biggest change. I was like, oh, this is a cool helmet, man. So now I don't get any helmet compliments unless I'm like in a store carrying it around. Now it's all bike. It's all sweet bike, man. Do a wheelie, do this, do that. So that's the positives of it. I wanted a bike where you could go somewhere and then go off-road somewhere. So Harley wouldn't do that for me. Sportster or whatever, and Cafe Racer or scooter. But this thing I take on fire roads, and I haven't taken it in the woods yet for the fact that if I'm half-footing at a stoplight on relatively level ground, I'm not going to be able to flat foot in the woods. And that's a higher likelihood of dumping it onto me, which I don't want to do because look at how, well, when I detail it, it looks really nice. But I've just been riding this recently. I haven't cleaned it recently. But, yeah, I don't want to dump it on myself and break stuff. But other than that, I say you get one. They're relatively slow. I mean, top speed is like 78 for this gearing. I think if you go back to stock gear, you can get like 80, 85, 90, people are saying. You don't get that great mileage either. Like my NX, I would get like 150 miles out of a tank. This, I'm getting like, I fill up at 60, but I've gone to 80. I bet I could go farther, but I just don't want to risk it. It's almost twice the size engine CC wise. It's got a lot more pep in its step than a 250. My NX. The second time I rode this, I pulled a wheelie, not meaning to at all, and I didn't die, surprisingly. But that is basically it. Like, if you want a good bike to do a bunch of stuff with, I would get one of these. They have their quirks and their problems, but just look. Don't buy the first thing you see just to buy it. Like, I looked at another one of these in person, and I just laughed at the guy. But I looked at hundreds online. So definitely take your time, look for one, especially in the winter time or at the end of the month when people need money for rent or, anything really. Just keep on the lookout and you'll hopefully find one, unless you want to do a full build, but those get expensive. This was just, well, I guess $5,000 is pretty expensive, but it's here. I can ride it. It's turnkey, ready to go. I did add some stuff. I put probably $1,000 into it, but I'm happy with it, and that's all really that matters. So if you want a DRZ, I suggest it. I mean, the really only problem I have with this bike is no 6th gear. It's a little too tall, but at least the tall thing you can fix. I don't know about the 6th gear. But in the reality, it probably saves my life, because I rip this bike on back roads, and if I had a 6th gear, I'd be in the 6th gear, and I probably wouldn't make it around some of the corners I've been taking like I do. So for that, it's a good thing. For a commuter, I probably wouldn't buy this, but if you just want something on the weekends or after work, go screw around and then go on the power lines, something like that, this is perfect. Especially with stock exhaust, I think they're pretty quiet, so you won't bug a lot of people, on power lines or whatever. But if you guys have any questions or comments, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.